Welcome to Stamp with Angela. Today I'm going to share with you how I made this card. It involves a couple of techniques and it uses this stamp set here, Sitting Here, which is one of the new stamp sets, and also uses Sheltering Tree, which is one of the stamp sets that is returning in your catalogue. The colours that I've used to make this include soft suede, garden green, real red, one of the new in colours, Dapper Denim, and also just a little bit of chocolate chip. Alright, let's get started. So this is made with the note cards, so they are slightly smaller cards. You can see they are about 9 by 13 centimetres or just under. It's a nice little note card, so they come note cards with envelopes. So I've actually stamped on another piece of card, slightly smaller, and then adhered it afterwards. So the first piece that I'm going to start with is 8 centimetres by 12 centimetres. And because I'm using photopolymer stamps, it's quite good to stamp on something like a paper piercing mat. So I'll start with this first. So for my card, I'll leave it up there to remind us what it looks like. We're going to do the green leaves and grass first. So I'm using this stamp set from Sheltering Trees, and I'm just going to stamp a little bit at the top and maybe just down the sides a little bit like that. Okay, and then my grass at the bottom. Like this. Now when I clean my stamps, I use something called the stamping scrub. Really great way of cleaning your stamps. So it's this here, it folds closed. So I've got on mine some little markers. It's blue for washing, yellow for the sun for drying. So I just spray in some of the stamping mist and then I can just clean my stamp and dry it. And then it's ready to go. So that's a really good tool to use, and one of the first things I got when I joined Stampin' Up. Alright, so carrying on with our picture now. So I'm now using this big chair swing stamp, but I'll put it on my block a little bit better. And I'm going to stamp that in soft suede ink. So I had it slightly to the left of the picture. Ink that up and position it slightly off the ground like that. Okay, so I'll just let that dry. So while that's drying, I'm going to make the little pieces that go on the top. So with a scrap piece of white, I'm going to stamp 2 cushions and the cat. So I'm using the real red for the cushions. So one of those, one of these, and then for my cat I'm actually stamping it in chocolate chip just so it's a darker colour, so when I colour it you can see it, and stamp that. And while I'm stamping that, I'm also going to stamp my envelope, so make sure it's up the right way, and my cat, let that dry too. Alright, so while I've got these, I'm going to do a little bit of colouring. So I'm using blender pens. Blender pens are like this, they're in a pack of 3. You've got a tip each end. And I'm going to use the ink pads to colour it. So what do? Close it, squeeze the lid, and get some ink here in the top lid. And then I'm just going to pick up some ink. The first bit's quite dark, so I'm just going to wipe it off a bit. And then I'm going to just colour. Might need a bit more. Now I'm not actually worried if I go over the edge, because I do actually have to cut them out or punch them out, so if it's a little bit over, that's fine. So colouring these like that, and then lastly the cat. Now I can clean this, get all the colour out, and then use the same tip for another colour, but because I've been using quite a few, I've got them a few colours sorted here, so I'm just going to use another one I've got ready for the brown. So with my cat, again I'm cutting it out, so this time I'm not actually worried if I go over the lines. Okay, and then I'll also colour more carefully the cat on my envelope. I don't want to go over the lines this time. So these blender pens are great for colouring in. And at the moment, everyone likes to colour things in, so now you can colour in with your ink pads as well. Okay, the next step is colouring this in. So I'm actually going to do the cushion on the seat first in the Dapper Denim. So again, squeezing the lid and colouring that in. So wow, that looks very dark, so I will probably need to just make sure that is the blue, kind of wipe it off a bit, otherwise it's going to be very strong. A little bit more, wipe some off. Going a little bit faster than I usually would, just for the sake of the video. Alright, there we go. Then I need to go back to my brown again, make sure that's brown, yes, and colour in my seat. So, yeah, I'm colouring in, so this is using the soft suede, colouring in the back part, colouring in these, some alternating so there's a space in between. I'll finish doing this and then I will show you some more. So I've coloured most of it. I'm going to turn it over so you don't get sort of confused with what's around. Just the last little bit, I'm going to just try and colour this in a little bit harder on this side, just try not to go over the lines. There we go, so that's our finished image. Then we need to adhere. Or actually we need to cut these out first and then adhere them. So the round cushion is easy. I've got this 3/4 of an inch punch which I can nicely cut out the cushion. Easily done, rolling away. But with these two I do need to fussy cut them out with paper snips. The Stampin' Up paper snips are great. They're nice, sharp and great for cutting around edges and things. So there we go. I'll do the cat and then show you the next step. Alright, so I have my 3 things ready to glue on, my cushions and cat, and my card. So I like to use Stampin' Up's multi-purpose liquid glue, really good for adhering things. You just need a tiny amount. So put that on, one cushion. Just a thin layer. You don't want it too close to the edge, you don't want too much, otherwise it'll spill out and then make your work sticky. And then that cat as well. There we go. Doesn't that look lovely? Now remember the stamp set, if you prefer dogs, there is a dog, there's a basket, you can also put different scene with the pot plant outside, there's a bird, there is some kind of grass in it too, and some sentiment, so there's all sorts of things you can do. I've seen people not put the strings on and put legs on it and make it a chair. Check out Pinterest, there's all sorts of inspiration there. It's a great stamp set. Alright, so the last part is putting it on to the card. So I don't know if you can tell, but if you look maybe this way, there is a slight gap between the card and the stamped image. So I'm going to use something called Dimensionals. Love these things. So they're just little shapes. They're slightly raised. So I'm going to put them on the 4 corners of my card. And if you want a sentiment or an image or something just to pop up from the card, this is what you use. So you get a pack with 3 sheets of these. It's about 300 in a pack. They last forever. Well, you know, last for a long time. Sometimes if you've got something small, you can actually cut them in half. Use the edges as well, so get a long use out of them. And then I'm going to, you don't actually need that anymore. Put it up the right way would be a good start. Carefully line it up and adhere it, and then you've got that white frame around as well. So there we go. You may like to do other colours or other combinations, and there's our matching envelope with it as well. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. So you learned how to use blender pens. So remember, blender pens, squeeze your ink pad, get the ink on the top. You get 3 sets of these in every pack, and you've got a tip each end, and you can, you know, clean it by rubbing it, use the same colour or use different ones for different colours, and then just adding the dimensionals to it as well just helps it lift up and give an extra dimension to it. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you've got any questions, feel free to contact me, comment below, and I'd love to hear from you. So thank you for watching today.